Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Bitcoin. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so before we jump into that lower degree counting, we're going to go over our two ideas that we're following here. So within the bullish idea, what we are saying is that this move to the upside here is potentially a wave one. We're looking for a wave two, and we're going to be looking for this third wave to the upside. 1618 from our current location is sitting towards this 42,252. Now, it is possible that we could still see price come down lower down here because we haven't reached this 0.382, which is sitting here towards this 28,699, which would be at least sort of the minimum I'd want to see here. Technically, it can fall short of this, so we need to be on the lookout for the possibility that this already could be completed. But my primary expectation is that we could still see price come down into this level still. Now, if we do look to see price come down in this way, what we're going to be looking for is this 786 to hold at this 26,080. Invalidation of this potentially being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to be coming at this 24,800. If we see price break down past this 786 level, this will be our first warning that this count could potentially be looking to invalidate. So we want to stay above that at all costs. Now, the other way we're discussing this is that this move from further back here could actually still just be a bigger corrective structure where we're actually looking at this as bigger W, an X, and a Y. So what we're looking for is three waves to the downside here. Minimum requirement would be looking for would be this 28,419. And then we'd be looking for this one-to-one potential also at this 26,510 if we do start crossing this 0.618 zone. So going to be keeping an eye on this possibility to the downside. Now, we could also potentially argue that this X wave is into this high here, and instead of this actually being an X, what we could have is that this is a B and then we have a C to the downside. Now, if we are looking at this idea, what we'd be looking out for is that possibility of having a 5-wave move to the downside, targets being this 25,360 to this 23,646 if this is going to become an expanding flat, as well as that we do have this 26,481 if this is going to become a running flat. Though running flats are less common than the expanding variation, but they can sometimes still happen. So we need to keep an eye on those things and then adjust the counts accordingly as we get more information. Now, if we are looking for this Y wave to the downside, there's a couple of ways we can look at this. There is still the potential that this could actually be A, B, and then we're looking for a C wave. Now, the problem with this is looking for this as a 5-wave move, it would actually be implying that we're possibly going to get a move deeper down here towards this 26,931 if we continue to see extension. Now, within this structure here, what we would be saying is that we're looking for this as potentially either 1, 2, 1, 2 here, and then we're looking for a third wave to the downside, in which case we could actually see this extend out possibly towards this 3618 level at this 27,403. Now, invalidation of this idea would come by breaking back above this high here of this 30,351. If we are looking at this as a potential 1, 2, we could also argue that this is 1, this is 2, and then we're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would make the structure slightly neater and would mean that we have one set of fifth waves less to play out here. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on this. If we do see this as 1, 2, and then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we could only get one more fourth and fifth wave, which would potentially look to bring us down into some of these key levels here. Now, the key zone we are looking for here is this 27,059. Move down in 5 waves to this level would confirm to me that, you know, this is potentially a third wave here, and then we'd be looking for that evidence of the fourth and then that fifth wave to the downside. So that's what we'd be looking at for this potential of this breakdown. Now, internally here, what we could have is that this is actually 1 and 2 already looking to form here. Now, we have come up already towards this 50%, and we do have some targets slightly higher up here, which is sitting between this 786 at this 30,025, and then we have you know, the golden pocket also here towards this 29,772 to this 29,820. As long as we remain below this 30,350, I am going to be very cautious that we could still see this continuation to the downside, either where this becomes ABC, in which case we could just get a 3-wave move down towards this 28,314, or alternatively this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, 27,448 is going to be our third wave target here if we are looking at this in this way, and this could then be meaning that we're going to see our fifth wave looking to complete between this 27,239 to this 26,914. Now, like we said previously, you know, if we are looking for this idea of this break to the downside, what we're looking for is this 27,059. So a move down in that way would actually align with coming into that target area here. So going to be keeping an eye on this if we do see price continue to break to the downside here. Now, given the current structure, what we could argue is a couple of things. So if we are looking at this just as a corrective move here, what we could say is that this structure is just W, this is X, this is Y. And that could be potentially completed, in which case what we could be starting to do is starting to break to the downside. Now it's possible this could also just become a three-wave move down. We hold support and then we look to push up again, where this becomes a bigger corrective structure to the upside here. Same idea is going to be in play. As long as we remain below this high over here, we can still potentially see that continuation to the downside. So until we actually break that high, we need to just be very cautious of that bearish count, where we could actually see price starting to fall away in a bigger way, looking to break to the downside. Now, the other way of looking at this as a possible Y wave would be looking at this move as a bigger W, X, and a Y here. Now, this would then mean that this could actually be an A wave here. So we need to be careful of this idea that if we do look to complete this move in this way, and this is actually just a wave here, this could actually imply then that we're going to see three waves up, and then we're going to see three waves back to the downside. Now, given the size of this as an A wave, this would imply that we could see some choppy action looking to play to the upside here. B waves can be shorter, but effectively, as long as we stay below this zone here of this 30,821 to this 29,993, we could still see this look to break down, where this could actually be W, X, Y, X, and then a Z, in which case potentially our target could be lower down here towards this 27,894. So going to be keeping an eye on this idea of coming back into this channel here. Potentially this could mean that we see continuation to the downside in a corrective structure, where this whole move becomes W, X, Y, X, Z, in which case this would be likely to be a wave 2 or a B wave rather, because we can't have this in a Y wave location. So this would be something we just need to keep an eye on. If we do see price look to come back up here, potentially sweep these highs, we could see this price look to move to the downside in this way. Now, like we were saying as well, it is also possible within this idea of this B wave here that this B wave is not complete, and we could be looking for this white target box area over here, 31,299 to this 30,367. So if we do see price do this, where what we have in this lower degree count is effectively saying this could be A, B, and C. So if we see 1, 2, 1, 2 here, and then we start to break up in a bigger 5-wave structure, this could align with the idea of having a C wave. Now, given the current structure that we've got here, it is looking less likely as time is going on here. But effectively, until we actually take these lows, this can potentially still look to develop to the upside, where we get a 5-wave move in the C wave. Now, target areas would be this 30,314 to this 29,966. So if we get something like this, this is 1, 2, 1, 2, we get 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, something to this effect. This could align with actually coming into these targets, looking at this as a flat, and then what we'd still have is this is A, this is B, and then still look for that C wave to the downside. So that would align with still being within that Y wave. If, however, we start to break to the upside here, we could actually see price move up and look to invalidate some of these highs, which would potentially mean we're going to see a move towards this 30,408 level. Alternatively, some other targets higher up here based off of this B wave would be this 1236 and this 1618. So that would be this 31,422 and this 30,802 level. So if we see a bigger 5-wave move to the upside here, where we see price move up into these higher ranges here, what we could actually see is, like I said, this could be A, this could become B, and then we still see that C wave to the downside. Alternatively, we need to be careful because, like we said, we could potentially have a low in place here. So if we see 5 waves up and we see 3 waves down, this could actually mean that we start to see that bigger continuation to the upside if we're looking for that bullish count. So this is why we're going to have to just be a little bit patient here until we actually break this high here. Primarily, I'm still expecting that possibility of continuation down, but we need to see whether price action confirms that idea. Now, another idea that I just want to talk about, and this is going to align still with that idea of seeing a 5-wave move to the upside here, is we were talking about this idea that we could see this Y wave actually get a bit more complex here. Now, if this is the case, what we could actually have is that we have an A wave into here. This is A, this is B, and then we see a 5 wave move to the upside, targets being between this 1618 here and this 1236. Although technically speaking, a running flat could actually target out this 30,991. The higher target for this would be between this 31,475 and this area over here of this 32,333. Now, the key thing is here, we need to start seeing good 5-wave structure developing to the upside here, and then we need to see something along these lines developing in a 5-wave move where we see price look to get impulsive to the upside, looking for this target areas higher up. Now, like I said, we could have this as A, B, and then C, and then we have that break to the downside. Or alternatively, if we do look to push up into these higher areas and we start to get a structure which is a bit more sizable, something like this, this could then align with the idea that this is A, B, and then we still see a C wave down, which could mean that we could possibly still come down after a move to the upside here in 5 waves. So this is why if we are looking at this as a potential low, we need to see 5 waves up. We need to see 3 waves back down, holding this support zone, and then see that confirmation by breaking to the upside here. If we just see 5 waves up here, we need to be very careful that we could still see 5 waves play to the downside, in which case this could actually look to bring us possibly back into this channel at a later date here, and would mean that, you know, this whole move is still a bigger corrective structure. So just need to be cautious on this idea here that we could still see, you know, price come back up here in a 5-wave move. But until we actually take these highs, we need to respect the fact that this structure is currently indicating downside is more likely. Now, if we were looking at this idea, we did discuss this in last night's video. The problem we have with trying to count this as an impulse is that it is very choppy and corrective in the way that it's forming here. So there is potential. We could argue this is something like a 1. This is a WXY for a 2. We have another 1. This is a flat for a 2. And this is another 1, 2 here. But effectively, what we need to start seeing is price developing to the upside. 29,940 is going to be the zone I want to see for a bit more clarity. But like I said, until we actually take these highs, we need to just be careful of any kind of a 3-wave move to the upside. Now, looking at the internals here, what we then have to say is we didn't reach this 1618, and we have come down too deep here. So the only way that this still works is if this is another 1 and a 2. So that would look something along these lines, where we would say that this is 1, 2 here, and then effectively we'd be looking for something like this 1, 2, 1, 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, looking for this push up towards this 30k region. If we do see a move up towards this 30,087, this could align then with the idea that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in which case what we need to be on the lookout for is that we could still have additional 4ths and 5ths here, where this is 1, 2, 1, 2, this becomes 3, we get 4, 5, 4, 5, and then that looks to actually push us up and look to take out some of these lows and hit that ideal target for that flat correction, for the smaller flat correction. The key thing here is that if we do get this extension in this way, effectively what we need to see is 5 waves play out to the upside here, 3 waves play out to the downside, and then looking to hold that support, like we said, for that possibility of continuation to the upside. 5 waves up, and then we start to develop 5 waves down. It becomes more likely we're going to see that break to the downside. But yes, you know, the likelihood is as long as we stay below these highs, then we could see that continuation. I'm just being mindful that there could be a little bit of a sneaky move building up in here, so we're going to have to keep an eye on this. If we continue to set higher lows here, and we don't actually look to cross them, then we could actually see price look to form some kind of an impulsive move to the upside here after building a series of 1s and 2s. Having a look at the daily CPR lines here, what we can see is that we have actually printed a higher CPR line here. So now this is indicating a potential bullish bias. Now we need to see price confirm this. We did hold this level already. If we do move to the upside here, I want to be watching how we react towards this 29,061. I'm also going to actually come in here and turn on the previous day highs and lows. Now, if we do see price push to the upside here, another target we could potentially look to target is this previous daily high, which is sitting at this 29,689. We also do have this 29,661 as a potential target to the upside for today. If we do see price come back down, potential support could be found at this 29,392 to this 29,361. If we do not hold this support, then potentially we could still see price come back to the downside here, in which case we could look to find support here at this 29,096 or this 29,069 level. So if we do see 3 waves to the downside here, this could still align with the idea of forming a bigger B wave here if we hold these levels. If we start to lose these central lines and we start to lose the S1 line here, what we could then see is price could be gravitated towards some of these lower levels: 28,791, 28,472, 28,186 as downside targets. If we do see price look to break to the upside here and move above the R1 and the previous daily high here, what we could then see is that potential of that breakout starting to confirm here. So this is what I'd want to see. I want to see a move above this level, back test, potentially looking for support, and then seeing that continuation up, which would align with that idea that we're starting to extend to the upside here. And then we could actually look to test out some of these higher levels for today: 29,970, 30,255, and this 30,562. So this would align a little with that idea of that extension in that 5-wave move to the upside if we do see it play out. Now, price can always look to move through these levels. So in that bearish idea where this is 1, 2, and then we get a 3rd wave, effectively breaking down through these levels, it would not actually be uncommon. We'd have to just see how we actually react to these zones, because these are just potential pivot points within the market. Now, having a look at the weekly CPR lines, what we can see is that we've actually rejected off of this S1 line. If we do look to move back to the downside here, potentially we could look for a retest of this 29,098. That aligns with that daily CPR line. So if we do see a move into that zone, possibly that could become support, and we could still see a move to the upside here, looking to come and target out this 29,955 to this 30,000 area. Now, these could be potential resistance on the way back up here, so going to be keeping an eye on this level. If we do look to break down directly from this point, other targets for this week still open is this area here, this 28,687. So if we do see price push down here one more time, that could be a potential zone we look for a retest, although like I said, we need to just bear in mind that we can move through these levels. So if we did have to see that idea of a push to the upside here, and we continue to hold these lows, and we start to form impulsive structure and reclaim these central lines, other targets for this week is this 30,495, 30,919, and this 31,393 as possible upside targets for this week. Now, moving over to the monthly, what we can see here is that we rejected off of our top central line here. So if we do see price move back to the downside here, we could potentially look to find support again on this central line at this 28,896. It would probably mean that we're getting a bigger corrective structure if that's the case. Alternatively, if we do look to break to the downside, other targets are here at this 28,105, where we could see support come in, or alternatively down here towards this 26,377. Now, this lower level would only align with the idea of this becoming a bigger 5-wave move to the downside, so going to keep an eye on that if we start to lose the central line here. If we do see price starting to break back above these, what we could actually find is support could come in on this monthly again towards this 29,675, and then we could see that idea of something like this pushing to the upside, looking for either that C wave to the upside, or alternatively this could start to trend, in which case some of the targets for this month still remaining open is this 32,992, 35,519, and this 39,552 as well. So going to be keeping an eye on these as price actually confirms or declines the bias of these. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.